Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi. Anda menyaksikan Niaga AWANI bersama saya Harits Asyraf dan untuk tumpuan hari ini kita akan memberi fokus kepada sudah tentu recap 2024 serta apa unjuran untuk tahun 2025, apa fokus kita dan bagaimana lanskap ekonomi yang boleh kita jangkakan untuk sepanjang tahun 2025. Tapi sebelum itu, saya nak bawakan perkembangan dari Amerika Syarikat di mana bekas Presiden Amerika Syarikat dan pemenang hadiah Nobel Keamanan Jimmy Carter meninggal dunia pada usia 100 tahun. Berita itu diumumkan yayasannya The Carter Center. Menurut yayasan itu, Carter menghembuskan nafas terakhir pada Ahad petang di kediamannya di Plain, Georgia. Keluarga mendiang ada di sisinya semasa detik-detik akhir Carter. Pada tahun lalu, Carter menerima rawatan di rumah selepas menderita pelbagai isu kesihatan, termasuk melanoma yang merebak ke hati dan otaknya. Carter berkhidmat sebagai Presiden Amerika Syarikat ke-39 selama satu penggal bermula pada 1977 sehingga 1981. Setakat ini mendiang merupakan Presiden yang hidup paling lama dalam sejarah Amerika Syarikat. Sementara itu, kenyataan Carter Center menyebut bangunan Empire State akan dinyalakan lampu biru, merah dan putih iaitu warna bendera Amerika Syarikat sebagai memperingati legasi dan jasa bekas Presiden itu sepanjang hidupnya. Okey, baik, kita nak terus bawakan perkembangan berkait dengan ekonomi gig di mana ekonomi gig Malaysia telah meneruskan trajektori menaik pada 2024 dengan bilangan pekerja yang bekerja sendiri meliputi pekerja gig melebihi 3 juta setakat September. Pertumbuhan itu mencerminkan penerimaan dan pergantungan yang semakin meningkat terhadap kerja-kerja gig sebagai sumber pendapatan berdaya maju, fleksibiliti yang ditawarkannya dan ekonomi digital yang berkembang.
Ekonomi gig juga telah menimbulkan lebih banyak gesaan untuk skim perlindungan yang lebih baik kerana masih ramai lagi pekerja gig yang berada di luar pelindungan Undang-Undang Buruh. Pertumbuhan Buruh Antarabangsa ILO juga telah mengesahkan kemasukan pekerja gig dalam kategori pekerja yang bekerja sendiri sekaligus menunjukkan definisi yang lebih luas dan pengiktirafan kerja gig dalam pasaran buruh. Menurut laporan kaji selidik tenaga buruh bagi suku ketiga 2024, bilangan pekerja yang bekerja sendiri telah meningkat kepada 3.09 juta pada suku itu daripada 2.93 juta pada suku pertama 2023. Walaupun pertumbuhan menggalakkan, namun ekonomi gig menghadapi beberapa cabaran. Menurut Pengantara Teknologi Sumber Manusia Q-Work Malaysia, ramai pekerja gig masih kekurangan perlindungan buruh yang penting di bawah Undang-Undang Buruh seperti gaji minimum, had waktu bekerja dan cuti berbayar. Memandangkan ketepuan pasaran dan keperluan perundangan yang berkembang, strategi tangkas diperlukan untuk mengekalkan pertumbuhan dalam sektor itu. Sebagai maklum balas terhadap cabaran itu, kerajaan Malaysia sedang dalam proses memperkenalkan langkah untuk menyokong pekerja gig termasuk cadangan rang Undang-Undang Ekonomi Pekerja Gig dan Penubuhan Suruhanjaya Ekonomi Gig Malaysia di bawah Jabatan Perdana Menteri. Pada masa sama, Grab Malaysia turut mengalu-alukan keputusan kerajaan menangguhkan pembentangan rang Undang-Undang Ekonomi Pekerja Gig kerana percaya tindakan itu akan membolehkan perundingan yang lebih komprehensif dengan pihak berkepentingan termasuk syarikat, platform, pekerja gig, ahli akademik dan pakar industri. Di samping itu, ia juga meminimumkan potensi cabaran seperti kesukaran penerimaan dasar, ketidakcekapan dalam pelaksanaan pekerja gig, gangguan ke atas perniagaan serta peningkatan kos bagi pengguna. Menurut Q-Work Malaysia, sektor baharu seperti tutor dalam talian dan pemasaran digital yang bersama-sama dengan peningkatan integrasi teknologi dijangka memacu lagi pertumbuhan ekonomi gig.
Okay, baik, saya nak bawa perkembangan ringgit di mana ringgit dijangka menunjukkan penurunan minggu ini ketika tempoh terakhir dagangan tahun ini dan permulaan dagangan 2025 dengan pergerakan mungkin berada dalam julat antara 4.47 hingga 4.50. Rakan pengurusan SPI Asset Management Stephen Ines berkata, mata wang negara Asia termasuk ringgit akan menghadapi tempoh dagangan berhati-hati kerana peserta pasaran mengambil petunjuk daripada isyarat yang tidak menentu dan kebimbangan geopolitik semasa ketika minggu dagangan lembab.
Beliau berkata dolar Amerika Syarikat cenderung mengalami kelemahan secara bermusim pada masa ini, namun tarif yang kemungkinan besar dikenakan oleh Presiden dipilih Amerika Syarikat Donald Trump telah mewujudkan ketidakpastian tambahan. Katanya secara tempatan, pelabur juga mengekalkan sikap berhati-hati berikutan kebimbangan terhadap isu-isu ekonomi China, terutama penerbitan bond khas $411 bilion Amerika yang dijadualkan tahun depan dan potensi kesannya terhadap permintaan pengguna. Sehubungan itu, ujarnya ketidaktentuan itu telah menjejaskan ringgit. Ketua Penyelidikan Pelaburan UOB K. Hian Wealth Advisors, Muhammad Siddiq Jantan turut menjangkakan pergerakan ringgit yang lebih rendah minggu ini berikutan jangkaan pendekatan berhati-hati Rizab Persekutuan Amerika Syarikat. Beliau berkata jangkaan pasaran mengenai hanya 2 kali pengurangan kadar faedah Amerika pada 2025 akan menyokong mata wangnya. Menjelang 2025, mata wang negara Asia diunjurkan lemah berbanding dolar Amerika Syarikat dalam tempoh 6 bulan pertama, didorong oleh reaksi pasaran terhadap pemilihan semula Trump dan jangkaan tarif perdagangan. Sejak kemenangan Trump pada awal November, indeks dolar Amerika Syarikat telah meningkat kukuh secara berterusan kira-kira 4% kepada 107.6, paras tertinggi dalam tempoh 2 tahun, mencerminkan jangkaan mengenai kemungkinan tarif ke atas rakan dagang Amerika. Sepanjang minggu lalu, ringgit kekal diniagakan tinggi berbanding dolar Amerika, didorong oleh harga minyak mentah yang lebih tinggi sebelum ditutup hampir tidak berubah pada Jumaat.
Okey, baik. Untuk waktu ini saya nak memberi fokus untuk kita recap imbas kembali apa yang berlaku sepanjang 2024 termasuklah bagaimana unjuran 2025. Analisis bersama dengan Dr. Muhammad Afzanizam Abdul Rashid, Ketua Ekonomi Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad. Dr. Afzanizam, terima kasih sudi bersama dengan Astro AWANI dan juga terima kasih sepanjang tahun 2024 setia bersama dengan kami. Setiap hari Isnin bersiaran bersama dengan kami. Dr. Nizam, pertama sekali kalau kita nak recap melihat kepada prestasi ringgit lah terutamanya. Saya nak buka soalan berkenaan dengan ringgit dan juga ekonomi domestik ini. Ringgit telah menunjukkan prestasi yang bercampur-campur sepanjang tahun ini. Mungkin pandangan doktor, apakah faktor yang menyumbang kepada kelemahan atau kekuatan mata wang kita dan sejauh mana trend ini dijangka berterusan pada tahun 2025, doktor?
Okey, sebab tu saya ingin mengucapkan kepada pihak Astro AWANI kerana sudi menjemput saya sepanjang tahun ini untuk memberi pandangan ekonomi dan ringgit lah terutamanya. Okey, benar apa yang dikongsi oleh Harits sebentar tadi, memang prestasi ringgit ni memang bercampur-campur. Kalau kita imbas kembali pada suku pertama, suku kedua yang lalu, ringgit bergerak dalam keadaan yang begitu lemah sehingga mencecah ke paras hampir RM4.80 bagi setiap unit dolar Amerika Syarikat. Dan kembali kepada suku ketiga pula, nilai ringgit mengukuh ke paras 4.12 sehingga 30 September yang lalu dan kini telah pula orang kata tu melemah ke paras 4.47. Tadi dia sebut juga tadi tentang mungkin dia akan berakhir dalam paras 4.5. Jadi memang kalau kita tengok pergerakan ni dia memang agak orang kata tu yo-yo, begitu volatile dan punca utamanya memang tak lain tak bukan perbincangan tentang hala tuju kadar faedah di Amerika Syarikat. Dan kemudian sekarang ni untuk tempoh yang terkini kita sedang memerhati apakah dasar polisi ataupun apakah hala tuju dasar yang akan dibawa oleh tampuk pimpinan yang baru di Amerika Syarikat iaitu Donald Trump dan juga beliau akan dibantu oleh teknologi seperti Elon Musk yang saya kira akan mewarnai corak pemerintahan beliau. Jadi perkara ini mewujudkan suatu orang kata tu ketidakpastian selain daripada faktor Fed yang mana kebarangkalian mereka untuk mengurangkan kadar Fed itu dilihat semakin mengecil buat masa ini. Jadi nilai ringgit buat masa ini saya nampak akan terus dipengaruhi oleh faktor-faktor luaran yang menyebabkan turun naiknya itu begitu besar julannya.
Ya, doktor, kita tidak boleh lari apabila bercakap soal ringgit ini, termasuklah inflasi yang diimport dan sebagainya. Tetapi kita lihat inflasi sepanjang 2024 ini boleh dikatakan saya sifatkan sebagai terkawal. Tetapi kalau kita perincikan, tekanan melibatkan kos sara hidup itu masih lagi menjadi isu yang mendasar, yang berakar dalam kalangan rakyat. Mungkin bagaimana doktor melihat dasar fiskal dan monetary boleh realign ke ataupun mungkin apa yang boleh dilakukan terutama dalam nak melindungi kuasa beli rakyat pada 2025, doktor?
Betul. Saya rasa pihak kerajaan telah pun memperkenalkan pelbagai langkah untuk mitigate ataupun memberi satu impact yang minimal lah kepada kesan-kesan terutamanya kesan import yang inflasi yang diimport ini, seperti barang pindahan, subsidi dan sebagainya. Namun yang penting sekarang ni saya nampak Haris, yang utamanya dari segi pengkumpulan dasar, seharusnya dia tidak bersifat orang kata tu panik terhadap tekanan luaran. Maksudnya apabila kita melihat pergerakan nilai ringgit sebegini rupa, perubahan terhadap dasar yang telah dirancang itu perlu diubah. Itu sepatutnya tidak berlaku, kerana itu akan menimbulkan suasana yang kegesaran yang lebih besar lagi lah, kerana konsistensinya itu tidak akan dapat dilihat, dan ini akan memberi satu impact kepada credibility pengkumpulan dasar. Dan apa yang saya rasa perlu dilaksanakan adalah orang kata tu terus melaksanakan apa yang telah dirancang, dan yang paling penting sekali menerangkan kepada rakyat tentang apakah tujuannya dan apakah kesan impact yang bakal kita rasai. Dan bercakap tentang soal pergerakan mata wang ringgit ini juga, Haris, dia sebenarnya bersifat dua hala. Memang kalau dari segi kalau kita memberi fokus pada kesan inflasi yang diimport, memang benarlah kesannya itu. Tapi pada masa sama juga dia akan memberi kesan yang positif kepada sektor seperti sektor pelancongan, sektor ekspor. Seperti mana kita dah saksikan pada suku ketiga yang lalu, apabila nilai ringgit mengukuh, kita dapati syarikat-syarikat yang berasaskan ekspor tu terjejas akibat daripada peningkatan mata wang ringgit. Jadi sebenarnya perbincangan mata wang ringgit ni dia bersifat dua hala yang perlu kita fahami tentang impaknya itu.
Dr. Nizam, penting juga untuk kita telitikan apa yang boleh dikaitkan dengan ketidakstabilan di peringkat global, kerana itu antara faktor yang banyak mendasari kita pada 2024. Mungkin seperti kadar faedah di Amerika Syarikat, mungkin The Fed menyatakan bahawa mungkin ada beberapa siri lagi pemotongan kadar faedahnya. Konflik geopolitik yang tidak berkesudahan di Asia Barat, Timur Tengah, dan juga kita lihat di Eropah, sebahagian di Eropah, pertumbuhan perlahan di China sebagai contoh. Unjuran-unjuran itu bagaimana ini sebenarnya akan memberi impak kepada perdagangan dan juga pelaburan di Malaysia sepanjang 2025, dan mungkin ada bentuk strategi yang boleh dilakukan dalam nak mengurangkan risiko daripada faktor luaran ini.
Benar. Kalau kita melihat dari segi aspek geopolitik, ianya begitu orang kata tu agak membimbangkanlah dari segi trendnya itu, dan di sini memerlukan suatu tindakan yang lebih pragmatik di pihak kerajaan supaya mengambil kira tentang perubahan-perubahan ini dan apakah perlu dilaksanakan. Dalam kes ini yang saya nampak, apabila pihak kerajaan telah menetapkan untuk kata tu menyertai BRICS ni ataupun kesatuan Brazil, Russia, India dan China dan sebagainya, itu saya kira itu satu perkara yang pragmatik untuk dilaksanakan, kerana kita sedia maklum bahawa situasi di negara G7 dilihat dari segi dasar perdagangan antarabangsa itu agak bersifat proteksionis, dan kita tidak pasti bilakah ianya akan berakhir. Jadi langkah pragmatik adalah untuk mengenal pasti apakah rantau ekonomi yang lebih mesra dan mempunyai suatu orang kata tu potensi yang lebih besar lagi, dan di sini saya lihat justifikasi untuk beralih arah ke negara BRICS ni adalah suatu strategi yang begitu wajar yang perlu dilaksanakan bagi menangkis orang kata tu risiko perang perdagangan yang mungkin bakal kita saksikan pada masa-masa akan datang lagi.
Dr. Nizam, berbaki dalam 2 minit lebih kurang perbincangan kita. Sudah tentu 2025 perbelanjaan kerajaan juga tinggi, bajet 2025 juga mengembang, dan bercakap soal perbelanjaan sudah tentu penting untuk kerajaan melihat sebagai contoh seperti Akta Tanggungjawab, Akta Kewangan Awam dan Tanggungjawab Fiskal. Bagaimana doktor melihat ini adalah langkah terbaik, dan juga adakah kita berada di landasan yang tepat untuk keluar dari perangkap negara berpendapatan sederhana menuju tahun 2025 ini, Doktor?
Baik, naratif konsolidasi fiskal tu jelas terjemahkan dalam Belanjawan 2025, dan kita sedia maklum bahawa pemacu ekonomi kita tidak lain tidak bukan dah ekonomi domestik melalui pelaburan, melalui perbelanjaan swasta dan sebagainya. Jadi apa yang perlu dilaksanakan oleh pihak kerajaan, mungkin kalau boleh saya cadangkan, mungkin perlu diadakan suatu kemaskini berkala tentang perkembangan ekonomi dasar yang telah dilaksanakan, apakah statusnya, apakah impak atau outcome yang telah dicapai, supaya langkah-langkah yang dilihat kurang popular ini dapat dijelaskan dengan lebih baik lagi tentang justifikasi dan outcome yang mahu dicapai dan kesan ekonomi yang positif yang akan dirasai oleh rakyat, baik di golongan muda, baik di peringkat kata tu perniagaan dan sebagainya, supaya buy-in itu dapat dicapai dan memudahkan kerajaan untuk melaksanakan lagi langkah reformasi pada masa-masa akan datang.
Okey, baik. Terima kasih Dr. Muhammad Afzal Nizam Abdul Rashid, Ketua Ekonomi Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, memberi respon serta pandangan melihat sepanjang tahun 2024 dan juga apa yang boleh kita jangkakan pada tahun 2025. Kita akan terus bersiaran dengan Dr. Afzal Nizam dari semasa ke semasa. InsyaAllah. Baik, saya nak bawakan dengan laporan yang seterusnya di mana ini berkait dengan Bursa Malaysia. Di mana Bursa Malaysia dijangka meneruskan trajektori peningkatannya pada minggu ini dipacu oleh aktiviti memperelok akaun pada akhir tahun selain sokongan sentimen positif pada masa ini. Ketua Penyidikan Pelaburan UOB Kehian Wealth Advisors Muhammad Sidik Jantan juga kekal optimis indeks petunjuk utama FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI berupaya mencecah paras menghampiri unjuran firma itu pada 1,650 bagi tahun ini.
Beliau berkata ini berikutan pergerakan indeks pada minggu lalu yang mengakhiri dengan melepasi paras rintangan 1,620 mata. Jangkaan itu diperkukuhkan lagi dengan unjuran pelabur asing akan kembali ke pasaran selepas cuti Christmas selain faktor-faktor positif seperti prospek ekonomi global yang lebih baik serta kemungkinan pelonggaran dasar monetary. Muhammad Sidik juga menyifatkan prestasi kukuh pasaran baru-baru ini didorong terutamanya oleh saham-saham tenaga dan utiliti yang dipacu oleh aktiviti memperelok akaun akhir tahun oleh kalangan pengurus portfolio. Aliran peningkatan itu berlaku tanpa penyertaan pelabur asing sekaligus menekankan daya tahan pemacu pasaran domestik. Dalam minggu dagangan singkat susulan cuti yang baru berakhir, indeks penanda aras FBM KLCI menyaksikan aliran meningkat di tengah-tengah minat belian berterusan yang menjejaki sentimen positif pasaran Wall Street serta prestasi pasaran serantau. Bagi asas perbandingan Jumaat hingga Jumaat, FBM KLCI menokok sebanyak 36.73 mata kepada 1,628.12 mata daripada 1,591.41 mata dalam minggu sebelumnya. Jumlah dagangan berkurangan kepada 9.72 bilion unit bernilai 7.52 bilion ringgit berbanding 15.30 bilion unit bernilai 13.97 bilion ringgit pada minggu sebelumnya.
Baik, laporan berikutnya, kontrak niaga hadapan minyak sawit mentah MSM di Bursa Malaysia Derivatives dijangka diniagakan dengan kecenderungan menaik minggu ini berikutan pengeluaran dan paras stok yang rendah. Peniaga minyak sawit David Eng berkata MSM dijangka diniagakan antara RM4,580 dan RM4,750 satu tan bagi tempoh itu.
Sementara itu, peniaga kanan minyak sawit Interbrand Group of Companies Jimtih berkata pasaran dijangka kekal lengang berikutan dagangan minggu yang singkat dengan kebanyakan peniaga antarabangsa bercuti hujung tahun dan cuti perayaan Christmas. Beliau berkata niaga harapan MSM berkemungkinan diniagakan antara RM4,400 dan RM4,500 satu tan. Pada asas Jumaat ke Jumaat, kontrak bulan semerta Januari 2025 meningkat RM213 kepada RM4,975 satu tan, Februari 2025 melonjak RM210 dan Mac 2025 menokok RM191. Kontrak April 2025 naik RM156, untuk Mei 2025 menokok RM124 kepada RM4,331 satu tan dan Jun pula melonjak RM112 kepada RM4,253 satu tan. Jumlah dagangan mingguan menyusut kepada 194,976 lot daripada 582,992 lot minggu sebelum ini, manakala kepentingan terbuka turun kepada 242,959 kontrak pada Jumaat berbanding 244,206 kontrak minggu sebelum ini.
Okey, baik. Pada minggu lepas sebenarnya kita telah membincangkan dan juga fokus berkenaan dengan unjuran pasaran saham untuk tahun 2025 dan mungkin beberapa perkara penting yang berpotensi mencorakkan pasaran global kalau kita lihat seperti ketegangan geopolitik, cabaran struktur di China dan juga dasar perdagangan Amerika Syarikat. Dan untuk minggu ini, kita nak melihat rangkuman kepada pasaran 2024 dan bagaimana pertumbuhan pasaran tempatan dan faktor-faktor yang boleh mempengaruhi prestasi pasaran pada tahun ini. Dan bersama dengan tetamu kita secara dalam talian, Saudara Muhammad Siddiq Jantan, Ketua Penyelidikan Pelaburan UOB Kehian Wealth Advisor. Pertama sekali, Encik Siddiq, terima kasih kerana sudi bersama dengan Astro AWANI sepanjang tahun 2024 memberi respon, cetusan idea dan juga analisis dalam perbincangan kita hari ini. Mungkin kalau kita perincikan ringgit telah mengukuh 2.68% berbanding dengan dolar Amerika pada tahun 2024. Dan pandangan Siddiq, apa yang mendorong prestasi positif ini dan bagaimana perbandingannya dengan mata wang serantau lain?
Okey, terima kasih Harits. Sebelum tu kalau kita lihat pada suku pertama 2024, ringgit dilihat sangat lemah dan pada waktu itu pihak kami telah menunjukkan bahawa ringgit akan berliga di antara RM4.40 hingga RM4.20. Itu tidak termasuk daripada pemotongan kadar faedah yang dilakukan oleh FOMC. Tapi kita lihat pada bulan 7, ringgit berada pada paras yang terbaik, iaitu pada RM4.12, dan ini telah meningkatkan daya saing pasaran Malaysia. Dan pada hari Jumaat lalu, kita pada 27 Disember, ringgit Malaysia keseluruhannya daripada bulan 1 sampai Jumaat lalu meningkat sebanyak 2.68%. Sedikit lebih rendah berbanding daripada RM4.12, tapi ianya lebih baik jika kita bandingkan dengan mata wang serantau. So prestasi ini amat positif, terutamanya apabila kita lihat dalam konteks dolar Amerika yang kukuh sepanjang tahun 2024. So kalau kita lihat perjalanan ringgit Malaysia mencatatkan volatility yang signifikan pada 6 bulan pertama tahun 2024 ni. Pada suku awal yang saya katakan tadi, kekuatan US dollar didorong oleh dasar monetary yang ketat di peringkat global yang telah memberi tekanan terhadap ringgit. Tapi mulai suku kedua tahun ini, kita lihat perubahan ringgit mula menunjukkan pemulihan yang ketara didorong oleh beberapa faktor yang utama. So apa faktor dia? Yang pertama, kita lihat faktor yang mendorong pengukuhan ringgit ni adalah prestasi ekspor yang kukuh, khususnya dalam sektor komoditi yang seperti minyak sawit dan juga minyak mentah yang memainkan peranan penting dalam ekonomi Malaysia. So kalau kita lihat secara asas fundamental ekonomi Malaysia ni semakin baik, termasuk pertumbuhan KDNK untuk 9 bulan pertama, iaitu daripada bulan 1 sampai bulan 9 meningkat sebanyak 5.2%. Dan jika kita bandingkan tahun ini dengan tahun lepas hanya pada 3.8%, artinya menunjukkan peningkatan yang mendadak untuk 9 bulan pertama pada tahun 2024. So sektor yang kukuh kalau kita lihat, sektor perbankan yang turut meningkatkan keyakinan pelabur. So tadi saya kata ringgit lebih baik berbanding dengan mata wang serantau. So kalau kita lihat untuk sehingga hari Jumaat yang lalu, rupiah Indonesia berbanding dengan US dollar, dia melemah sebanyak 5.44%. Singapura dollar, walaupun ramai yang cakap Singapura dollar mengukuh, tapi Singapura dollar menyusut 2.89% berbanding dengan dolar Amerika. So but Thailand dia meningkat sedikit, iaitu sebanyak 0.01%. So kalau kita lihat antara empat buah negara ini, Malaysia menunjukkan pengukuhan ringgit yang ketara, iaitu 2.68 adalah prestasi yang terbaik. Dan kalau kita lihat gabungkan dengan keadaan geopolitikal, prestasi ini boleh memberi keyakinan di kalangan pelabur asing.
Ya, Sidik, kalau kita perincikan memandangkan ringgit Malaysia dan juga mata wang Asia lain menunjukkan penurunan akibat pengukuhan US dollar, sebagai contoh ringgit pernah mengukuh pada paras 4.12. Adakah pelabur harus lebih berhati-hati terhadap risiko mata wang ini dalam masa terdekat?
Secara amnya, ya, pelabur perlu berhati-hati terhadap risiko mata wang. Tapi kalau kita lihat, kalau pelabur itu melabur dalam pasaran saham di Malaysia, kesan daripada kenaikan dan penurunan nilai ringgit tidak memberi kesan kepada yang ketara, yang signifikan terhadap pasaran saham. Tapi jika pelabur memegang mata wang Malaysia ringgit tapi melabur di luar, ianya memberi kesan kepada portfolio pelaburan mereka. So apa yang kita lihat, kita kena berhati-hati terhadap risiko keuangan jika kita mempunyai portfolio pelaburan yang berada di dua pesisir, iaitu di US ataupun di rantau Asia, terutama di tengah ketidaktentuan global yang disebabkan oleh ketegangan perdagangan dan juga dasar protectionist Donald Trump. So kelemahan mata wang Asia seperti ringgit, won Korea dan juga rupiah India menunjukkan bagaimana perubahan dalam sentimen global dengan keputusan politik boleh mempengaruhi pasaran kewangan. Walau bagaimanapun, ketahanan ekonomi domestik memberi alasan untuk kita lebih optimis untuk dalam konteks Malaysia, ekonomi Malaysia ini, dan dalam konteks pelaburan saham yang domestik, kita akan saya boleh katakan ringgit sejajar lebih baik dan juga mengukur, dan kurangnya risiko pelaburan jika kita melabur di dalam Malaysia menggunakan nilai menggunakan mata wang ringgit Malaysia. So faktor asas seperti pertumbuhan ekonomi yang stabil, pihak kami juga menunjukkan ekonomi Malaysia berada pada paras 4.8% untuk tahun 2025. So inflasi juga kita lihat berlega di antara 2.2% pada tahun 2025, walaupun terdapat rasionalisasi RON 95 pada tahun 2025. So pengurusan fiskal yang baik juga boleh menyokong kestabilan pasaran Malaysia. So kalau Harits tanya memandangkan ringgit dan juga mata wang asing menurun, ya, kita perlu berhati-hati terhadap risiko mata wang ini.
Ya, Sidik, kalau saya lihat di sini indeks FBM-KLCI mencatatkan pulangan 11.93% pada tahun 2024, dan mungkin apa faktor utama yang mendorong kepada prestasi ini?
Okey, kalau kita lihat untuk setakat 27 Disember, FPM-KCI dia mencatat pada paras 1628, dan jika dilihat 1628 ni bukan figure yang baru, sebab kita dah pernah melepasi banyak kali pada 1600 ke atas, tapi berlaku penjualan di kalangan pelabur asing. So apa faktor yang mendorong kepada prestasi ini? Kita lihat indeks IPM-KCI yang kekuatan prestasi ini didorong oleh pendapatan corporate yang kukuh serta prospek ekonomi yang stabil dan dasar fiskal yang menyokong. So kalau kita lihat, jika dibandingkan FBM-KCI prestasi ini berbanding dengan negara-negara serantau, STI Singapura dia mencatatkan lebih tinggi pulangan, iaitu sebanyak 16.4%, tapi kalau kita bandingkan dengan Thailand pada setakat pada Jumaat yang lepas untuk 2024 hanya negatif 1.02%, Jakarta Index negatif 3.25%. So prestasi yang kukuh ini dibantu oleh dasar ekonomi yang clear. Sebab ramai yang menyatakan okey, semua negara mempunyai dasar ekonomi, tapi kalau dasar ekonomi itu tidak diperdengarkan ataupun dipersembahkan di peringkat antarabangsa melalui saluran-saluran seperti simposium ekonomi ataupun persendangan pelaburan, pelabur asing tidak dapat melihat dan juga menilai dasar ekonomi tersebut. So pada pandangan saya, faktor utama adalah dasar ekonomi yang jelas. Yang kedua adalah peningkatan pelabur asing yang melabur di Malaysia. Dan ini bukan setakat pada FBM-KSI, tapi modal pelabur asing, iaitu seperti kita lihat Google, kita lihat Microsoft melabur di dalam pasaran tempatan.
Sidik, soalan terakhir berbaki dalam 2-3 minit ini. Apa sektor-sektor ataupun sektor-sektor mana yang sebenarnya menunjukkan prestasi cemerlang di Bursa Malaysia sepanjang 2024 dan mungkin apa pendorong utama kepada pertumbuhan ini, Sidik?
Okey, kalau kita lihat ada 3 sektor yang saya rasa mempunyai prestasi yang lebih baik kalau kita bandingkan dengan S&P 500. Mungkin agak terlebih kalau saya bandingkan dengan S&P 500, tapi kita lihat ada sektor yang menunjukkan peningkatan yang jauh lebih baik berbanding daripada pasaran di luar, iaitu yang pertama sektor pembinaan. Indeks Bursa Malaysia pembinaan dia telah meningkat sebanyak 59.4% setakat pada hari Jumaat lalu. So ini didorong oleh pertumbuhan, didorong oleh penekanan kerajaan terhadap pembangunan infrastruktur dan juga projek utama yang terkandung dalam rancangan Malaysia ke-13 seperti Pembangunan dan juga inisiatif Bandar Pintar. Di samping itu, kita lihat permintaan terhadap pusat data telah mencatatkan pertumbuhan yang ketara. Malaysia kini sedang berusaha, kalau saya boleh katakan, untuk menjadi hub serantau di pasaran di Asia Tenggara ini sebagai pusat data, memandangkan permintaan terhadap perkhidmatan awan dan juga infrastruktur digital semakin meningkat. So syarikat-syarikat utama yang saya katakan sebentar tadi seperti Google tu semua turut memberi sokongan modal kepada syarikat tempatan. So penekanan kerajaan terhadap infrastruktur tenaga hijau, sebab kalau kita katakan pusat data dia perlukan elektrik, tapi kerajaan juga menekankan NETR, National Economic transfer hijau, NETR untuk infrastruktur tenaga hijau dan pembaharuan bandar telah memberikan sokongan tambahan kepada sektor itu. Itu yang pertama. Tapi kalau kita lihat ada sektor lain seperti sektor utility meningkat sebanyak 36.23%. Ini disebabkan oleh yang boleh saya katakan seperti fokus Malaysia terhadap tenaga boleh diperbaharui dan usaha dekarbonisasi. Dan akhir sekali, sektor hartanah dia mencatatkan pada sebanyak 28.75%. So pemulihan pasaran hartanah ni didorong oleh permintaan yang kukuh di kalangan hartanah kediaman dan juga komersial. So itu 3 sektor dan saya lihat sektor ini akan terus bertumbuh pada tahun 2025.
Okey, baik, terima kasih Muhammad Sidik Jantan, Ketua Pendidikan di Pelaburan UOB Kehian Wealth Advisor. Terima kasih atas perkongsian pandangan termasuklah sepanjang 2024 dan segalanya akan kami rangkumkan di astroawani.com serta di semua platform digital Astro Awani. Dan terima kasih kerana terus setia bersama dengan Niaga Awani sepanjang 2024 dan kami akan membawakan laporan yang lebih baik sepanjang 2025. Kita berhenti rehat seketika, bersambung semula selepas ini.
has invested so much in trying to create a green story. And in that green transition, we've been very clear on putting together a 2050 country climate strategy. With the World Bank, we've done our country climate development report, so to show how climate and development are interlinked. On the public investments, 50% of public investments have to go to green projects. So when the government sets policy which is articulate around the green transition, it does reflect in the types of private investments that come in. It's able to mobilize concessional finance for the green transition. We've been able to articulate projects that move from the use of gas to renewables. And we've been able to take policies which are extremely clear, but also mobilize concessional finance through innovative tools such as debt swaps, which are very, very relevant today when emerging markets globally are suffering from high indebtedness.
Bila kerja sendiri, semua kena buat sendiri. Tapi, bersama rakan niaga, semuanya dapat ditempuhi bersama.
Nak coklat? Ha? Hari ni tak boleh. Nanti saya kena dengan mak saya. Awak makan coklat, nanti awak kena kaviti. Gigi awak akan repot. Setiap pagi saya berus gigi dengan ubat gigi. Tapi... Awak tak gunakan Pepsodent ke? Kalau guna, nak risaukan kaviti apa lagi?
Pepsodent baharu disahkan halal. Mikrokalsium aktif dan Proflorida kompleks membantu memperbaiki lubang halus akibat makanan manis sebelum menjadi kaviti untuk perlindungan maksimum.
Gunakan Pepsodent setiap hari.
Pepsodent.
Hello and welcome to Niaga Spotlight with me, Tamina Kausji. Niaga Spotlight goes through the week in economic analysis and future affairs. Well, today on Niaga Spotlight, we are taking a look and examining the migrant repatriation program as well as socio-economic impacts. A couple of facts before we move deeper into the discussion with our live guests in the studio. Now, as of November 2024, Malaysia has an estimated 2.4 million registered migrant workers. And of course, they are a vital part of the Malaysian economy, quite often in invisibilized sectors or those that may not directly be connected to what is deemed as migrant labor. However, at the same time, Malaysia's Migrant Repatriation Program, or the PRM, initiated this edition on the 1st of March 2024 to manage the return of undocumented migrant workers, has seen significant activity since its launch. We discussed this and, of course, all related issues with two excellent and esteemed guests who are joining us in the studios right now. C.R. Selva, ex-immigration and legal practitioner, joined with Alex Ong, country representative for Migrant Care. Gentlemen, a very good morning. How are you doing?
Good. Good. Thank you, Tahina.
Fantastic. So very good to have you with us in the studios for this timely discussion. If I could target the first area that I would like to open up this very broad discussion and narrow down quite quickly to Alex. Alex, tell me what are the primary objectives of the ongoing Malaysia's Migrant Repatriation Program, or the RTK for short in Malay, and how are they aligning with the country's broader immigration policies?
Thank you, Mina. Thank you for inviting me to this show. The way we look at this particular matter, right, it's a very routine practice by the Malaysian government since 1989 until the latest was actually the Go Back for Good program, RTK1, RTK2. So RTK program is actually separated in two stages. RTK1 is for the regularization. RTK2 is actually that is going to end by the end of this year. It's going to be on the Go Back for Goods, what we call practices. Over the years, if you look into the policy matter, our immigration is only focused mostly on the surveillance of this irregular migrant. There is a still lack of the management of the migrant worker per se. So as what we can see is that it has been repeating for the past 40 years. And then there are a lot of movement, but no progress. And then the irregular migrants community is at least growing. And then there's lack of very in-depth understanding of the bureaucrat in terms of what they want. So when we look into what we call the program, let's say for example, we take the nearest in the year 2011, we have the 6P program. Then we have the rehiring program. Then we have the 3+1, then Go Back for Good. And there are so many what we call this type of engagement to at least to collect the database of this migrant. But what has been done? Is it any positive policy management to at least to match out with the labor dynamic of the Malaysian economy? If you look over the past 40 years, we have so many things that is at least on controlling, but we do not have any at least like proper management of the migrant. For example, if you look at the policy, it's mainly focused on the macro sector, meaning the big corporation. Is there any what we call any policy that address to the micro sector of informal economy, like for example, the Mampap hawker center, which actually employing more than 90% of our workforce here. So this is at least some of the critical area where at least government probably have to look into it, because this is the backbone of our national economy. Even it contribute roughly probably around 38 to 40% of our GDP. But this particular segment has been grossly ignored. And then if you look into our what we call during the crisis, our plantation sector is the one that at least saved us. But we haven't looked into the need of the 600,000 smallholders, which is actually like in many ways that they hired irregular migrant. If you look at the figure of the 6 million hectares of the plantation oil
spread out across Peninsula as well as Sabah Sarawak.
Yeah, and then we only have less than 200,000, but in actual fact we need about 400,000 people who work in this sector. So where are these people coming from? How they come in? From where do they enter? So these are the part on the what we call the border control management that we need. So what we can see is actually we only doing the firefighting rather than having a holistic approach in addressing to the situation here.
Fantastic. Alex, I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to move from the granular to what's actually happening on the ground. And as you said, plenty of movement, but not too much of progress. Salva, I'd like to ask, given your really in-depth expertise over decades working in this arena, what are your thoughts about are we moving in the end of 2024 towards a more comprehensive structure? Or are we still just, as Alex mentioned, mostly still firefighting and just looking at the surface rather than looking at the roots of how we want to have migrant labor as part of the Malaysian economy and ecosystem?
I'm a estate boy. I'm from estate. My background is plantation. My family were in plantation.
Understood.
During that time, many Malaysians were working in plantation. And we have to accept the truth that when industrialization took place, many migrated, right? And we have to address this. There is an elephant in the room.
Please tell me about it.
There is an elephant in the room. But everybody is closing their ears and claiming they are closing their eyes. They don't want to hear. Because this has been when I started work in '89. The immigration department, the foreign workers, in the department itself, there were 2 different DGs were appointed.
Right.
2 digits. That's a problem. That is a problem. See, now what I could conclude now, I don't mean to pin my fingers to anyone, but we have to call a spade a spade. A problem which successfully traveled 40 years. That means, is the problem a problem or the system is a problem? Whether it's a systemic problem nurturing process. Because everybody knows. I think the floor we are sitting today must be laid by some foreign workers' hand. And I see on paper, recently there were some issues. Early this year there was an issue in Kota Tinggi. Recently there was an issue in Shah Alam. We are talking about the stale problem since 1989, where we started to accept, to formulate the foreign workers, where we are dependent on the foreign workers. I'm not going to use statistics. Statistics will speak for itself.
Yes, they clearly do.
We have to take into cognizance. Come on, there is a push and pull factor by Lee. I think every student, any university students, they will do all the analysis on that. Here we must accept the push factor, the South Pole push. I don't want to mention the country. I hope you understand.
Absolutely.
And now, 3.5, 3.4849. So there are some push factors where leaving a big vacuum where we have to be dependent on our foreign workforce. I used to say this, we have to see human being as human being. Quote unquote, we are trading humans. As rightly you pointed out, the system is there. See, when I came to your office, I showed my number, this number you sent me, then went to the security guard, they took my IC.
That's right, there's a systematic process.
Then I saw one notice there. Section 20, Peraturan 25(1) JPN, you make sure you bring your IC. Fantastic. System is there. Are we abiding by the system? So who is the stakeholder? You see, we have to, I would like to record here, there are two, you see, this immigration thing is so interested by many parties. So many fingers are there. So many fingers. MSN, KDN, Kesuma, Kementerian Sumber Manusia. I like the minister who named it Kesuma. It sounds nice.
Sounds integrated.
Sounds very integrated. But now, you see, I and Alex was in the same independent committee. So we proposed this repatriation. I think I have given you some lead on that issue. I will just want to rewind a bit to 2021.
Sure. Why 2021 in particular?
We had a back for good that was in conjunction with our suggestion in our independent committee report. You see, I'm asking you a question, Mina. If you lost your IC, will you look for anyone?
Oh, absolutely. There are structures and systems that you immediately go to.
What you will do? You will go to police station. You will report.
That's right.
Then you will go to JPN. Do you will seek, hey, Selva, I'm going to immigration. Can you help me? Will you do that? No need.
No, certainly not.
You will walk in. Let's say you are your main renewal. Hey, Selva, I need to renew my foreign maid. Any friends there or not? Many. I'm sorry. If this is what, even though I am retired almost 15 years, still my people renew my relationship because renewing passport and renewing their permit, they still contact me. Why? Because the system, the system. Why JPN? Why immigration always have this problem? It is the problem which need to be addressed. Why we always use the word address to address problems? Because the address, there is no recipient. Nobody want to receive the problem.
So you have clearly identified the issue here. Now, I would quickly like to move back into furthering the discussion. Alex, tell me about how this ongoing repatriation process and the complexities around it are actually affecting or impacting socio-economic stability of Malaysia. And let's particularly talk about sectors that are heavily reliant on migrant labor. We're talking about construction, agriculture, manufacturing. So when there's an outflow, particularly in larger numbers of repatriation, how is that impacting these sectors from what you've observed?
When we mention about the impact on our socio-economic structure in Malaysia, first and foremost is actually like if we look very carefully into the numbers, because I always believe that the number will tell the story. If you look at 2016, we have about 310,000 domestic worker, that relieve Mina and others working professional into the professional career. At this moment, we only have 110,000 domestic worker. If you look at that particular aspect itself, our population grew from 26 million to 34 million now. Are we needing less domestic worker to help us? And if you look at the women participation rate in the active workforce, it is actually maintaining at around 47% there, 47 to 49%. If without the presence of this invisible, what we call domestic worker, that have to relieve or doing the outsourced job for the mother and the care unit of the family.
Right.
So I believe that probably Mina yourself will be very busy with your own house chores. Or other professional lady. So if you look at the number, right, that is actually a great gap of about 200,000 reduction, but with the increased population of the participation, I believe that is something where actually our bureaucrat and policymaker need to do the in-depth study, why and how it happens. That is actually from domestic worker. That you mentioned just now, we go to the hawker center from the time that we wake up, we go for mama store and all those things. And then if you look around, how many of them are actually hired regularly, and then are they qualified to hire? So if you look at the whole situation, if the structure itself do not gear towards to solve the problem of this microeconomic sector, the demand is so huge, it's going to be increasing all the time, of incoming of irregular. So if we actually propose the regularization and the Go Back for Good program, if it is just for collection of database, are we using this database effectively to address the problem? I think the most critical issue is actually bureaucrat and policymaker have to acknowledge that we have a problem, rather than we want to do this. Only by knowing what is the problem, only then they can start designing the more effective policy for the ground, what we call implementation. If you look into the plantation, as what I mentioned, rule of thumb, one worker can work on 10 hectares. That is very, very tough situation already. Right. 6 million hectares, we need 600,000 people at least. But right now we only have about 200,000. Where are the close to 400,000 people coming from? The fruit bundle don't fall from the sky. You need people to work. If you look at our skyscraper and a lot of new development there, look at the number. How many Malaysians are really working in this sector? If you look at the Bangladeshi participation in this sector, it's close to 400,000. They are at least sweating. They shed their blood to make our country progress in terms of physical development. So in this particular situation, as what I mentioned just now, perhaps many of our policymakers didn't realize, they have the number, how many people are here, but didn't realize that the number of South Asian migrants to Malaysia has already increased to 73.79%. This is incredible. It used to be like close to about 60%, 70% Indonesian, but the perspective mindset of people, Indonesian are mostly irregular. Yes, they are right, because we have a lot of situation of the cultural migration. They migrate even before independence, during the British era and all those things. So many of them do not apply for the citizenship, then they remain here. So if we look at the whole situation of the what we call the labor dynamic, of the South Asian coming in, and recently there was a case in Pok Klang, where actually like more than 200 Bangladeshi people who actually did not get salary. So that show that actually the part of the orientation part, right, that's something to do with the orientation part, that actually when they arrive here, they do not know what to do. In actual fact, they have to have the pre-departure orientation and post-arrival orientation, so they know what to do when they face a problem. Not until 7 months, they are actually not paid, and then a lot of hoo-ha happening. And does this hoo-ha actually solve the problem? So this is the question that actually where it involves a lot of what we call the foreign intervention, which actually they never touch the ground, they never interact with them, they don't speak the Bangladesh, yet they are able to speak very loud in the international media. And then very lucky that actually the government take the initiative. We actually like dismiss you, but we will find you alternative job, because we know that if you go back, you face a lot of hardship. And then just imagine if you are the employer, are you going to hire somebody who actually like to protest and then always create the situation? This one we also, because as an ethical advocacy process, right, we need to be sensitive towards this migrant of do no harm principle, meaning that the best interest of theirs, not to get the limelight, but to resolve their problem amicably without any unnecessary negative impact. So when you talk about the impact of this repatriation part, so are we really in line with our principle of helping the marginal people who need help in terms of advocacy, or are we going after that, doing that to get the what we call more fund from the funder outside, or are we doing it from our heart? This is very challenging, because no money you cannot move. But if you want to sacrifice your principle just to move ahead, that could be very challenging for the NGO who actually always has been in the limelight. Because right now we see there are more desktop activists more than the groundwork activists.
Yeah. And I hear you particularly when you talk about the fact that there is limelight. However, I think that can be misconstrued as being a certain specific attention being paid, but actually it is trying to expose wider systemic issues. Yes. Alex, I really appreciate the fact that you also focused on the feminization of one sector at least, which is of course paid domestic work by migrant women, and how that also relates back to bigger labor market issues, availability, and also lack of female LFPR from Malaysia, and solving some of these broader sectoral impacts. Thanks very much for that. May I quickly move into perhaps some perspectives from Selva. So from your experience, what are some of the key challenges that are cropping up for migrants during the repatriation process, when they have already taken that step where they have come to terms with, yes, fine, we're going to return back to country of origin. What then happens, and what are some of the not even just hiccups, but continuing repeated challenges that have been not just frustrating, but ought not to still be existing in a smoothly oiled engine, Selva?
Okay. I think there are several repatriation back for good, multiple offer by the government. See, when any offer, it shouldn't be qualified. It should be unqualified. Initially, during our independent committee recommendation, our objectives was very clear. We said, okay, whoever illegal here, okay, it takes two hands to clap. They cannot be illegal by themselves.
That's right.
The authority also
several
need to be
processes and
several
steps
processes.
You know,
apologies, Selva. We don't use the word illegal because undocumented or irregular.
Irregular.
Apologies for that.
No problem. Okay. That's why we are very good in using the jargons, you know. But the fact is, we are not addressing. We are doing the nice icing, but we don't have a proper cake. We have fantastic icings, you know. All these jargons, all this exactly what the NGO is talking about, the rights, but only icing. I'm talking about the cake. My concern is about the cake. You see, now I'm telling you, okay, all of you can go back. So I'm working for Mr. Alex. I'm a very good mason. I can do wonderful laboring.
Say, for example.
Right. I'm very good. So now I'm illegal. So boss said, boss, I want to go back. Okay, go, Selva. Suddenly there's another bombshell. Whoever goes back be for good, you will be, this is a code, that you are blacklisted for life. So now you tell me,
That impacts obviously your socio-economic opportunities as a migrant worker overall in the global landscape.
Exactly. If I return today, I cannot come back. It's not only me, my family's livelihood will be at stake. Even Mr. Alex's business will be at stake.
Oh, what business am I in now?
You understand what I mean or not? These are the things where there is no uniformity. See, government, as a government servant, let me put it to you very clearly. Government works, operates on policy. You say anything under the sky. If there is no policy, no point talking. There is a policy. You have to accept. So this repatriation program, there is a policy. So government is like a railway track, you cannot U-turn. If that is the policy, you have to follow. Unless in private, we can make a U-turn. We are on the road. So government is abide by the policy. So when you tell them, okay, come everyone illegal, go back.
Again, illegal, please.
Undocumented, all right.
The irregular, they are allowed to leave, and then with the hope they can come back. When you put this embargo there, you cannot come. So all will pull the handbrake. So that's why I think last year, the reason one, the reception for the irregular migrant to repatriate was very
messed up.
No, it was not as expected. Very minimal because of these embargoes. So you are sending them off with the hope you can welcome, but it's a one-way send-off. So I think my opinion, this is my personal opinion,
there ought to be pathways perhaps for reintegration once they are documented.
Everybody must speak the same language. That is my concern.
I think as far as this matter is concerned, excuse me for interrupting, actually what I feel is actually like we actually do it the ASEAN way. No circumvention, no intervention. There's we may have the regionalization vision, but to what extent this regionalization has been put into practice? You look at the ICHR, it has been years that actually how far we are actually just talking in a big international forum about regionalization. We are about 800 million people. We are such a big market of the labor market supplier, labor market end user. But in what way that actually the diplomacy among the ASEAN countries, like in ASEAN, the biggest recipient are actually Thailand and Malaysia, for the migrant worker. The biggest supply is from Philippines and Indonesia at this particular moment, and also to a certain extent Vietnam and Myanmar. So in this particular situation, we have a lot of talk. But do we really have a very serious diplomacy in engaging with the what we call irregular migration matter? Are we going to open up like the EC, where actually the EC member can have their citizens go to anywhere to work without any much hindrance? It seems like we talk a lot, but do we have any vision of studying the European system, the EC system, in adopting that will actually allow the flow of the labor surplus country to the labor what we call deficit country? This is very challenging. So we are actually very protective. Everything we mention is about national security, but from the what we call from the NGO perspective, we are talking about human security, not just the national security. And then when we want to do repatriation, do we have a proper conversation with the sending country in terms of the preparedness for the reintegration? Because if their country is not prepared for the reintegration, they go back for a while. They will come back anyway.
That's right. They will find some way, and in general, that will be via undocumented means once again. And so I really hear you on the fact that it leads to a cyclical repetition for the same migrants in question, right? Quite often. Gentlemen, thank you for the discussion so far. We take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Niaga Spotlight. Don't go anywhere.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini. Pastikan Astro AWANI menjadi pilihan anda, tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada.
Esok, kita akhiri tahun 2024 dengan penuh makna bersama para penyanyi dan selebriti ternama. Jom usai konsert Countdown Meletup 2025. Semua dijemput.
5 lelaki penghantar makanan didakwa di Mahkamah Magistrat Bangi atas tuduhan membunuh seorang pemandu kereta lelaki dalam satu kejadian.
4 sungai di sekitar kawasan perindustrian Pasir Gudang di Johor termasuk Sungai Kim Kim didapati tercemar dan berada pada tahap yang membimbangkan. Kerajaan sudah mulakan inisiatif untuk menggantikan kenderaan operasinya kepada kenderaan elektrik EV dalam skala kecil terlebih dahulu.
Welcome back to Niaga Spotlight, still with me, Tamina Kausji. And today we're, of course, discussing the migrant repatriation program as well as socio-economic impacts together with C.R. Selva and Alex Ong joining us live in the studios. Alex, I'd like to refer back to something you were briefly mentioning, which is that when migrant workers come into Malaysia, whether documented or undocumented, they quite often are here for at least medium to even very, very long term. Now, what could be some of the broader impacts of this, and is there a way to reformat this system whereby, in a sense, there is a pathway for migrant workers to have options rather than only, in that sense, staying here ultra long term?
I think it has to do with the structure about the government policies matter. For example, in Sabah, we do have what we call the migrant allowed to bring their spouse in, to bring their children in, but at least all these people are in the government database. That at least they are when they come here, the Sabah state government is giving them the children what we call the opportunity to study and to prepare them for the reintegration. That actually it can be bring to the positive development that actually the migrant will know that they are going back to their home country one day, they are not belonging here. As compared to the migrant in Peninsula, actually the children that were born here is actually without any proper recording. If you go to the plantation, you can see one family have 4 children, 5 children. Recently, my visit to one of the area in Semenyih, she's only 24 years old, already 4 children. Next one is coming on the 5th one. He came in at the age of 14. So they actually play a lot with the Facebook. They found their love soulmate, and then they just stay together because they cannot get married. Mm-hmm. So the children born like a ladder, you know.
And there's also the issue of from a gender lens perspective, yes, the fact that there's limited access to sexual and reproductive health and services, yes, which leads to, of course, multiple children in a very short span of time, yes, together with, of course, impacting health factors.
But if you look into the long-term social impact, what are we going to do with these undocumented stateless children? They are neither Indonesian nor Malaysian.
Absolutely.
And then if you were to send them back, there's a common word that used by them. Gampang datang, susah pulang, meaning easy to come, difficult to go back. Because when they come alone. When they want to go back, they have to bring the whole caravan of the family member going back. And to go back to Indonesia, especially in Nusa Tenggara Timur, is very costly. It can cost at least 2,000 ringgit for one person to go back there. So in this particular matter, it has been discussed between the government, between the diplomat, how are we going to resolve this problem? Like for us in NGO, we are actually trying to get these stateless children registered to prepare them to go back by providing the community learning center. But however, it is against the immigration law because in immigration law, the student must actually qualify with a qualified parent, complying to the immigration law to study. But community learning center, you're just teaching the children about their country, about the elementary school things. It has become a very big hoo-ha that violate the Malaysia rectify what we call Child Rights Convention. But as what Mr. Sewa said, the country is ruled by law. Immigration law stated such, the law enforcement people just follow the track. But on the other hand, it's actually they don't look into the socio-economic impacts of this migrant. And then if in Sabah, there's actually we are facing the problem of lost generation. They were here, they already grown up, getting married here. They mindset, they are Malaysian, but they do not know about Indonesia. In this particular situation, they do not have education. They can only work to inherit what we call the hard labor work in the plantation. and they are stranded here. They cannot go back Indonesia. Their children cannot go back. They got stuck here. This could be another socio-economic problem that we are facing over here. If a policymaker is concerned, it need to incorporate with the foreign policy as well, of how we are able to work out with the diplomacy with the sending country of at least like providing the reintegration program for these people. Not just keep on catching you, just send them back, but over there no job. How are they going to survive? And then this is actually is a complex issue, but we have to face it day to day. And then it's just not just matter of like you catch and then you put into detention. Perhaps Seva was in the detention camp before. She should know that how much it costs the taxpayer for each person that you detain per day. Not just what we call feeding them. You have to maintain the staff. You have to provide the healthcare and everything.
It's an entire ecosystem by itself.
Perhaps for this ecosystem itself, the policymaker need to understand in depth. Not just like they are here, they are illegal, we catch, we throw them away. They will come back anyway. So we have to find a long-term solution to that. And I feel that there's still very much lacking in the research gap on this particular matter.
Thank you very much for highlighting those really pertinent points, Alex. Mr. Selva, moving back into the discussion with you and talking about the legal and human rights concerns that have really struck you as not only egregious, but something which becomes quite repetitive when it comes to the treatment of migrant, documented, and in particular undocumented workers in Malaysia.
I would like to reiterate what my friend Alex has just mentioned.
Sure.
When you have regular migrants, they are regularized. If a construction worker, he's not permitted to marry. If he wants to marry, you need to cancel your pass, you leave the country, you have cooling off period, then you come in, you get married. We got no problem on that. The law is clear. Now, another block here is irregular. As what Mr. Alex rightly pointed out, at the age of 14 he came here. He got married, about 4 children, 16, 20. So he was here irregularly. And again, I'm coming back. We can have a wonderful system. We can have very good laws. Our country laws are excellent. We don't need to dive into the laws. The law is perfect. Talking about immigration law or any other laws, it's perfect. What I could suggest here is the enforcement, because there is a way for people to maneuver, to find ways to be legal in another way. So that has given rise to all this kind of statistic rise. So otherwise, if a child is being born here, definitely it will be born in hospital. And especially in Lahadatu, because I was in Lahadatu and one of my friend's daughter, she's a doctor there, and she was sharing her
daily work experiences.
And then how much that's the hospital face. I think they are the highest, that because all the irregular migrants, they come to hospital, they cannot tell them go back. They need to give them medical assistance. So that has contributed quite a number, because they will never come for the pink book. No pink book, nothing. So what I'm trying to say here is of course the system is there, the rule is there, but what my concern which I can see here is the enforcement is lacking. And the option to redress. I'm having a problem. I must be able to go into this, look, I've made a mistake. No, I'm irregular. I want to go back. There is no room for redress. And the promise of decent treatment also is at stake. So people don't have confidence. They would rather look for an agent than going direct to seek redress, whereby the agent will take them for another. Well,
there's room for exploitation aplenty as well.
So actually, excuse me, what I believe is actually Seva is mentioning about the regular way of getting treatment and giving birth. But what I'm dealing are the people, the real people in the plantation, in the construction kongsi, and also in the what we call in the vegetable farming and all these things. Many of them, right, they don't even bother to go to the hospital. They have their own what we call bidan.
Sensei.
midwives.
Midwife to actually to deliver. So this is the situation. Is actually like if they go to hospital, they will be immediately go to detention camp. I have a case of like less than 48 hours after delivering, is already in Semenyih. So this is the situation, because when you talk about Semenyih, right, it's very scary thing, to these migrant people. But as far as what is happening right now, is actually like, in what way that actually if we do have a proper, because no intervention, no circumventions, principle practiced by ASEAN, that the sending country don't even bother. Because it's in your country, I cannot intervene with your policy. But is there any collaboration, what we call gaps that we can fill up? This is actually the part that we have to leave it to our foreign minister, our home affairs minister, and our human resources minister, that they have to come up with a solution. Even within Malaysian government itself, different ministry, they have a different KPI that they want to achieve. And then what more go across the border. So this is very, very challenging, right, Siva? We have been going through all this together. And then we can also see that recently I have a case, a lady, 23 years old, abandoned by the mother and the father because they were actually detained, deported. She don't even know where the father and mother is.
Right.
And now she want to get married. She is neither Indonesian nor Malaysian. At the end of the day, how to get married without identity? I went to Indonesian embassy. You have to have a certain proof of document that she's an Indonesian. She has not. The other one is actually she's not even Malaysian, but she was abandoned by the parent. And then under the JPN registration is the son and daughter of so and so, Indonesian, but no detail. Because for the citizenship is a sensitive matter which had to be confirmed and reconfirmed. And then with the embassy here, they don't know what to do. And then are we going to take away her right to get married?
That's right, exactly. So it again points back to the fact that systemic issues result in direct human impacts on individuals as a result of the fact that there's a lot of siloification between ministries that ought to be working in a more integrated manner. Alex, Salva, I have
one thing.
Sure, certainly. Before we wrap,
Alex, I need to dissent to what you said about mentioning Semenyih is bad, because we cannot label by one incident the entire system is bad, because still there is immigration living in me. I think we cannot. Just generally label just about 11 to 30 detention centers here, and we have to accept the reality. If you're undocumented, you're undocumented. The hospitals, when I was in Shah Alam, I received many calls. Even some employers, there's one Vietnam guy who fell from the high-rise building. They quietly send them to hospital, and then we don't know who sent him.
Yes.
All right? And then he was sent to Semenyih. We took care of him very well until we went to Vietnam embassy, got his documents, and we collected some money. We sent them back. There are good souls,
of course.
So we can't label Semenyih scared. I think I need to defend on that point.
Fair enough.
Yes.
So I think once again it brings us back to the broader perspective that when it comes to migrants, both documented and undocumented, there, as Alex started off by saying, as you as well, Salva, there's a lot of movement been happening, but it requires an actual targeted outcome that moves into looking at not just human rights, but worker rights, as well as addressing some of the ongoing issues in the labor market, which the presence of migrants has helped alleviate and expand these parts of our economy. Thank you very much for the very interesting discussion. We hope that the right policymakers are not only listening, but will take action on the several areas.
The final note.
Yes, please.
I think, as I mentioned earlier, there is an elephant in the room. It is not an ant in the room. Everybody knows the issue. Everybody knows the issue. I think, who's going to bail the cat?
Absolutely.
Who's going to bail the cat? Because I can come back after 15 years if I'm still alive. We'll be talking the same problem.
Most likely, yes.
Most likely.
Unless, of course, those who are in charge of these specific sectors are able to take action.
So I think we are very good in rebranding, assimilating. You know, there are too many fingers on the issue. And MSN, National Security Council, KDN,
MAPU,
Mampu comes under KDN. Because too many things. I think police will say, this is not my problem. Immigration problem. Custom problem. Of course, yes. But when come to human, even UNHCR card holders and migrant workers, when talking about security, the stakeholder is National Security Council. And KDN comes in as a partner. So now there is a duplicity. So who is going to take the lead? Who wants to declare they are the, even we are talking about
the responsible party.
Responsible UNHCR people, card holders are not allowed to work.
That's right. So wrapping it all up, once again, Selva as well as Alex, thanks very much for pointing out the pertinent areas for actually actionable solutions. Well, that's all we have time for today on Niaga Spotlight. I'm Tamina Kausji signing off. We've been discussing today, of course, the migrant repatriation program. We will see you again next Friday with more economic analysis and insights. Here's to a productive week ahead.